Like, it's gonna be late. All right, here we go. It's Rocky himself. Good to see everybody, virtual land, and everybody that's here today. More and more people are coming back to SewTime, and I know why. It's because we just have fun. So I have two announcements, and then I'll get out of your way. We need to write down the date of October 12th, because that's when the next SewTime is. The SewTime, and it's going to be with Mo, and her theme is going to be Christmas, holiday. And so we're going to usher in Christmas early in October. And so she's going to give all sorts of ideas, and it's going to be great fun. So it's, remember, on the 12th, which is early. We're going to kind of do it early in the month. Now, for a second announcement. Our holiday party, our SewTime holiday party, which is famous, is November 30th, a week after Thanksgiving. We're ushering in the holidays with our group. We expect somewhere between 200 and 250 people this year to attend. So it's really going to be a party. It's going to be located this year at Pickering Barn. Oh. It has got plenty of parking, plenty of room. We're going to make sure everybody's far enough away from everybody. It's going to be fun. We are going to do giveaways. We're going to tell about our program, and you're going to have opportunities to hear about things and play games, and especially you're going to enjoy the live entertainment this year. We have booked out of London the Needles. The Needles are flying in. We've paid for it. They're coming. Sounds like the Beatles, but they're called the Needles. And so that will also be a lot of fun. Now, was there anything else I was supposed to say? I don't really think so.
I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
Were you going to talk about the drink tickets this year?
Oh, yeah. So the holiday party, there was some feedback last year that it would be really nice if we treated you all like adults. So we decided we will serve drinks. However, we cannot sell that service at Pickering Barn. So what happens is the cost of coming to the party is $10. You all know that. But not really. And the reason why is we give that back to you when you arrive in the form of a $10 gift certificate to be used in the store any way you want. That's just so that you come, so that you don't forget. Just a little tickler. So this year, when you go to pay your $10 in the store or wherever, you can purchase drink tickets. You can only purchase up to 3 because we don't want to get sloppy sewers or no. So you're welcome to do that. The drink tickets will be $8 a piece. So if you want to get a couple, that's fine. And that drink ticket will be waiting for you when you get to Pickering. That way we don't receive any money. We do have a professional bartender who will be serving those. So there'll be wine and beer, and that's it. But we're controlling it, okay? So it's very controlled. Other than that, wow, you're going to like this presentation because I enjoyed it this morning. It is great. So without further ado, I give you Alexis and Laura.
All right. Thanks, Eddie. Okie dokie.
Welcome, everybody. We are so excited for you to be here to our SewTime event, and it's going to be all about making bags. And we are lucky enough to have a trunk show of Annie's bags made up and a selection of her patterns available. So we'll be able to look at each one. We'll be able to look inside it and see how it's made. That is great. And one of the reasons both of us, this is Alexis, my sidekick, by the way.
And she's Laura. In case you weren't sure who was who.
Sometimes you're going to want to know that. So we want to, the reason we both love to make bags is that it's your ability to make a really fun project. You can make it usually in a day. You can choose something that might be a little outside your comfort zone by using a wild print or your favorite print artist. I'm a Tula Pink fan, so I've been using some of my stash up and making some of the bright colors. So you can choose that and you can make something totally unique. Every time I wear one of my bags out that I've made and I've done, I always get comments on it. And it's kind of fun. Oh yeah, I made it. And they go, what? You made it? And I go, oh yeah, come take my class. But it's just fun. And you can use a variety of materials. What do you have to say, Alexis?
Well, one of the reasons that we were excited to partner with By Annie's, the world of bag making is huge. And we had to pare it down a little bit. And so when we had the opportunity to pair with By Annie's, we were really excited because we know a lot of our customers are quilters. And because of the way she does a lot of her techniques of preparing these panels and putting them together, it's not a scary introduction for bag making if you're a quilter, because part of her approach, which we'll get into more, a lot of it starts out with quilting together those layers of fabric, which we know you have plenty of, and her soft and stable foam, and putting those together. You guys are already going to be, for you quilters, already have your foot in the door. You're ready. You can do this. You're going to be. So we were excited to start with that as an introduction for those of you who haven't done any bag making at all before. So we were stoked about that too, because we like bag making and we want to get everybody else excited too.
Great. So before we get too much into the patterns, let's talk about some of the components that go into bag making. So we're going to first start on straps.
So you'll notice some of the bags will have straps on them, and some of the bigger bags will. And there's a couple of different ways that bags can be done. And there is an approach that Annie has that she teaches a technique where you can create a pattern a strap that matches your bag with the fabric on here, with her approach of encasing, which Laura has some of her webbing material that she sells. And it's easy to customize that so it matches your particular fabric on your bag, which is great. You don't have to necessarily do that if you don't want to. Just using the bag strap material is a great option. And you can get different weights to do that if you're doing a lighter bag.
So this is just, we just bought it like this and made the strap up, and we put a little slider on it, so then you can adjust the size. You can either make it a crossbody like this, or you can do it a shoulder strap and adjust that strap size. So we like to do this, and like to make kind of some generic straps, because sometimes we're a little lazy and we don't want to make a new strap for every bag, and we want to use 3 different fabrics. Well, we're going to make it go so then we can use this strap on each bag. We just need to we like to make sure that the findings or the hardware is the same color. So if you have a silver bag, you have this. So this is my generic strap. So I'm going to put silver on all those bags that I might want to trade it off on, just so that they'll match.
And again, when we talk about customization, personally, I like a softer, more flexible strap. So the way I do my bag straps is I very commonly do a 1-inch strap. And I use this bias maker tape tool from Clover, and it is the 50 millimeter, and it's effectively a 1-inch end result. And your strip feeds in and comes out, and you press it, very straightforward, and you get this really nice crisp. I've always done in the past making a tube and then turning it, and I have found that this makes a cleaner and more consistent result. You can make this a little bit more sturdy for your strap if you're concerned about the strength of it, by interfacing it with SF101, which is a woven fusible interfacing if you're not familiar, or sliding in a piece of grosgrain ribbon in between your layers will also give you a lot more strength to your strap without adding more bulk or rigidity, which, again, a matter of preference. I like mine to be more flexible and soft. So that's my approach when I use bag making, and this is much cleaner results than I found from making a tube and turning it. So that was new and exciting for me to learn just recently, actually.
Sometimes you want a strap that's a little lighter weight. On these little bags in the pattern, we're just making bias tape and then just continue sewing the bias tape, and it's basically 4 layers sewn together, and it makes a really nice strap. It's pretty sturdy and it's comfortable because it's soft. So I don't have a lot of pockets a lot of the times when I come to work, so I like to carry this because this is my pocket, and I can carry all my phone in here and all my little bits and bobs, and I can, in case anyone forgets my name, I can do this, and it says Laura. So it's nice, but I'm making one for my girlfriend, and I'm going to customize it. She's a big time traveler. I'm going to put a hidden pocket on the back that's going to be for a passport. And then she'll have her phone, her passport. She can have her ID up here. So I want to make this strap a little bit lighter so it's not so heavy on her neck with all that stuff in it. So I used twill tape, and I just took and made it a little piece of bias, and then just did it like that and just sewed it on the twill tape. It's nice and soft. I might take another piece, so I'll double it and then just sew it together if I want it a little bit sturdier. But for right now, I think that's going to make it really nice, and it's got sunshines on it and kind of a gold tone to it. So that just is my idea. Like this one, it just called to make a solid strap, but I thought, oh, I'm going to make it black, and then I'm going to take a piece of bias and then sew this on here and just stitch it on. And I'm like, I love this. I mean, I like the color because it matches, and everyone else always comments on it. And I go, well, it wasn't that hard. I just made a black tube. I put this in it, and then I stitched this piece on top, and that's all it took.
So I want to go ahead and also touch on another function and use of SF101, since I did mention it before we get too far away from it. And Laura talked about the ability to use all kinds of different fabrics to make your bags customized to your tastes. The 2 samples right here I have are fabrics that normally would not be well suited at all to any kind of bag making. This is lame, which is awful, but has a great result if it's what you're looking for. Stabilizing it with some SF101 makes it a lot more versatile and allows you to do something that's a little bit flashier and fun and wild if you are feeling like that might be your thing. Now, and this is an example of a fabric. These are leftovers from my mom's, part of my mom's wedding dress. And my sister got married in June. And I was able to use some of the scraps from my mom's wedding dress to make her a little bag and put some goodies in it, one for her and one for my niece, for her daughter. And so it's nice to be able to, you can do sentimental things and take those garment pieces that are connected to people we love and turn them into something that they can carry with them every day. So just wanted to share that idea because it was a really nice moment in June when my sister got married.
Okay, so let's see.
We're going to move on to something, but I feel like we also need to touch more on the hardware that we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Because we forgot to mention, Laura talked about the hardware and silver as an option. When you are looking at your hardware purchases, keep in mind some of the brands. Keeping consistent with one brand on a particular project can be to your benefit because some of them will do their finishes will be slightly different. For example, one brand, Sally Tomato, does this lacquer finish. I keep forgetting the word, and Laura reminded me last presentation. It's lacquer and it's extra shiny, like so shiny. It's not going to have the same finish when compared to other companies, so you may not get a consistent look if you're making that variation. Most companies are fairly similar if you are going with their antique brass or their gunmetal finish or their silver or whatnot. But just keep in mind some of them do have a slightly different look. And
like these are kind of a brushed silver. These are a nickel, and they might call these the same thing, but this is shiny. And so sometimes different companies just do things a little bit differently. So that's why these are little kits by Sally Tomato, and which is super handy because you get your loops, you get your spring loaded. We get this part, clips, and then you get the loops that are sewn on the side, and they even throw in a magnetic snap in there because sometimes bags will have one of those, but this just, it gives you a matching magnetic snap, and it's nice to have that. You might not always use it, but then you have it in case you do need it. So that's why we bought these, because the price point, we think they're a great price, and we like the shiny. so we have some of these available just to show. We don't have everything in every size. That's something that we can always special order. And so that's what we say. Well, if you see something, and they come in 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and in 1 inch. So if you know what size strap you want, then we can special order those for you. It takes about 1 to 2 weeks so in advance. So let's say you want to do I know I want to use the gold and I want to make 3 bags or 2 bags, and well, let's look at the size strap you want, and then say, okay, I want a 1 inch is pretty standard. 1.5 is a pretty big strap, but that's if you're going to use like a big duffel bag, you want the wider straps. So that's what we would usually do on that.
All right. So we want to tell you now about you'll notice that Annie uses sometimes a lot of zippers and sometimes a lot of mesh and sometimes this fold over elastic. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this case real quick so you can see exactly how much you use sometimes while Laura tells you about the 14 coordinating colors for those 3 products. And
I'm going to grab my board off here and bring it over here so everyone can see, and the people at home. But they make, a lot of the times we have mesh pockets in the bags along with the zippers. And so they make, in these colors, they make coordinating elastic to go onto the top of the mesh pockets and matching zippers. So they actually make like 38 different colors of zippers, but these are the ones that have matching and coordinating of the mesh and the elastic. So these we can get. And we can order for you. We can also order other colors of zippers. We just have to be able to, try to find them and see. So if there's a special color that you want, we can special order it. It's kind of difficult to try to stock zippers because of 38 kinds. I mean, it would take up a lot of room on our wall. So that's something we always can special order.
And the zippers come from her. She'll do zippers that are just, hey, this is the length. 24 is her shortest length zipper. And sometimes you'll see in a pattern that she'll call for, hey, you need a 24-inch zipper. And it's really excessive, but that's the shortest length she offers. So that's the shortest length she can recommend for you, of course. But other times, so we have these 40-inch zippers as well. And they are a double slide.
Yep, handbag style zippers. There's 2 slides on here that meet. But let's say you only need an 18-inch zipper, and then you need another one for an interior pocket. You can just take this and cut it in half, and you don't need to use these zippers together. You can take one off, move it around, cut it in half, and make 2 zippers out of it. So I always say the price between the 40 and the 30 was just very small. So I said, get the biggest zipper, and this is the ones we'll carry, is the 40-inch, because then you can always cut it in half and use the other side. And as we're talking about that, the other thing that she sells is zippers by the yard. And this is my personal one, so that's why it looks like that. I think I have one.
But the zipper by the yard, it's 4 yards total and 16 pulls.
16 pulls come with it, right?
And as you can see, some projects are going to have a lot of short length of zipper, but with a pull. And so you're going to do a lot of those little sections. And then you're going to have other zippers that go, for example, all the way around this. A place for everything case is going to use a lot of zippers. And so 4 yards of zipper sounds like a lot until you go, ooh, I want all of these pockets. This will hold everything.
So yeah, you definitely want to go with zippers by the yard. What I do when I get my package, I'm all excited because purple's my favorite color, but I put my zippers on it, I sit down and do them all in advance. So I put a bunch of zipper pulls on here. I pull them to the middle, and I put them on handbag style up here, because I know the next couple bags I'm going to make, I'm going to need some like that. But you could take these on and put them off. But this way I know where all my zipper pulls are all ready to go. And then as I need to use them, I can just cut off the end. Now, they're 2-ended when you get these packages. If I can find my other end.
Just set yourself up for success.
Okay. Yes.
By always cutting from the same end.
Always cut from I've already made one. See, I was so excited I made it already. But you always cut from this end because you want to keep this end pristine. And that is why.
Just in case you need to change the configuration of your zipper,
Zipper.
holes.
So putting on these zippers is something sometimes people are intimidated by. We can always help you get started on that, but all I do is I take the zipper like this and I slide it on the big end, and I slide it in on one side like this, and then I slide it in on the other side like that, and then I even it up from the top. So now I've got it down here. My top is even. I'm hanging it on this. I bend it a little bit, and I just pull and it's on. And it took me a while to figure that out.
And
But once you get the feel of it, you can pop these on really easily. So it's not intimidating. Then I can, and even on my small pieces, I can put them on. We can get a package of multicolored zippers for the ends if you have. Oh, yeah.
How do you put it so they kiss? So
Well,
how do you put the zipper pull on?
Similar approach.
Similar approach. You can start at one end and go one on one end and one on the other end and meet in the middle.
Okay.
That works. You can put these in with the small side. It's harder,
Okay.
but you do similar.
So
But you,
basically the same thing.
same thing.
Coil
But-
zippers will work with the pulls on in any direction.
I know that they do.
Yeah,
I just
Right.
I
And that's
struggle
exactly-
putting them on.
Yeah.
And
the other
If
direction.
you use this wider zipper tape, it's huge. I mean, these are size 4.5.
No, I,
And
I
so
know
these are
for
simple.
zippers,
Yeah,
so
they're great. And I had no problem going over there. And a lot of the times you get it started and it won't go down. If you just grab the top of the tape and pull like this, it slides right on. Or I found out if I have it on here and I want to pull this down, I just tilt it a little bit, like wrap it around my finger like that and curve it a little bit, and it goes right on. So it's just a little bit different technique. Ones you can kind of tap on the zipper and it goes down. Other times you can pull the zipper tape apart. But either way, it's pretty simple. And we can go over, another demo of that. Or if you're ever having trouble with it, bring it in and we'll help you. Right? This will help.
I suppose. No, I'll tell them to come in on your day off when you're working.
Okay. No, it's
So as far as you installing zippers, if that's not something you've ever done before, Annie has an approach that makes it really easy to get a nice clean finish on the inside. And her approach is a little different than what Laura and I previously had learned how to do. And we were a little bit resistant to change and learn new things in the beginning. And which I think is human nature. There's nothing wrong with us. But we resisted. It is a good approach. It is really clean and easy to do. She does have a product that is this narrow, double-sided basting tape, and it makes things so much easier. It's an 1/8 inch thick, and most other companies out there, their similar products are actually a 1/4 inch thick, and that can be a little too wide. The 1/8 inch is glorious. It is also, we have tried like 5 other brands, and this is the best. The others just don't stick enough.
sticky. I mean, it just sticks. So
It's
a lot
still
of times-
repositionable.
yeah, but
But it sticks good.
put it on your zipper and you put it on the fabric, you rub it on and it doesn't move. And so the other ones it sticks a little, then it would peel off, and it was just really hard to keep that on there. And I just wondered, why did I bother doing this? But this one, it keeps it. You can put in that zipper straight. You get your first seam straight. Then the second step of encasing your seam on the back side is super simple if you've used that. So
It may feel unnatural if you've ever installed a zipper in any other approach, but once you do it, you go, okay, fine, she was right. That's easy and it looks good. So
right. So definitely that is one of my favorite new products. Okay, what are we next?
Let's talk about soft and stable now.
Soft and stable was the little piece of fabric that we put on your chair. It's a dense foam. It was designed by Annie because she saw all the foam that was available on the market and nothing was just right for it. So she worked on it for a couple of years to get this product just right. There's a tricot on each side that kind of gets a little bit of static cling. So when you put your fabric on top of it, it clings a little bit. You can take an iron and you can go over the top of your fabric and it doesn't stick, but it just holds the fabric still. So we sell it in these packages that are 36 by 58. They also have a package that's a 1/2 yard package, and then they sell it by the yard too. We might be having a big roll because we have a bunch of classes come in and we might be selling it by the yard. We have to just talk Eddie into carrying it. Yeah. So because the last roll we had, it already sold out. So, yeah. So
Another element of the soft and stable with that tricot finish, because it makes it really ironable. Sometimes you pull that folded out of the packaging and it's all folded. You can iron that. The folds come out.
and it just
It's
comes
great.
out. No
But
problem.
you can also use a batting tape. And so if some of you are quilters, you may already know about Franken batting and the idea where you use a batting tape to a fusible batting tape and you put your pieces together. You can do the same thing with the foam, where when we do with quilting, our small pieces aren't necessarily worth doing that because we would make ourselves crazy trying to make a decent sized batting project out of little pieces. But since these use smaller pieces, we can often still get some good value out of our scraps. And so I kind of view throwing away soft and stable scraps as throwing away money. And the so you can get the batting tape, it irons on super quick and easy and you're good to go again.
Okay, so now we're on to vinyl. Annie sells a package of vinyl. Unfortunately, somebody took our sample and they bought all the packages of it, so we sold out on that. But she sells it in a tube. It's 16 inches tall by 54 inches wide. So you get it. It's all nicely rolled in with tissue paper inside. So when you unroll it, you have the clear vinyl. If you don't have the clear vinyl, you can't see what you're cutting. I mean, I thought,
paper behind the clear vinyl.
yeah, the tissue paper keeps it. It also helps to keep the tissue on your sewing machine because it helps it not stick to the sewing machine when you use it. There's a big difference in vinyl quality, and hers is a 16 gauge vinyl. She has it, it's double polished, so it's very clear. It's very polished on both sides. Now, my good friend Mo made this bag, and she used the vinyl that she had sitting in her sewing room closet. And you can see that it's all wrinkly and it's not that shiny. Now this is using the by Annie's vinyl, and you just get a lot smoother look to it. It's sturdier. Now I've had another person in my last our last presentation that was talking about it. She said, you know, she tried the other vinyl and her scissors went right through it when she made a running with scissors project here, and it poked right through the vinyl. Well, this is a nice heavy weight, but it can be sewn through. So this is what's used in all these samples here. And
there was a ton of it in the place for everything as well. You may have noticed. So yes, it is superior vinyl.
So hopefully we can either special order it or we might have one or two available in the store. But unfortunately, I must have turned my back in that last roll that we had to show you all that I meant to keep it disappeared. So, all right.
Laura talked about the vinyl sticking to your machine. It can also stick and have a difficult time moving because it's sticking to the sole of the foot of our sewing machine. And so whether it's something when you're executing your project using by Annie's vinyl or using a different product, a different brand of vinyl, or not using a clear vinyl, you might also use some other type of vinyl product that's not clear. If you have that resistance, if you use a Teflon foot, it is specifically designed, it's not just plastic, it looks plastic, but it's actually got this great Teflon coating and it'll just slide. And so if you find you're getting resistance and you're not moving your project and your stitching looks terrible, that can be the solution, and it's a very simple one. So wanted to mention that as a foot that your machine that you may not have in your tool set yet that you might want. The other is, which a lot of you may have, but if you aren't a quilter, I'm not much of a quilter myself. So when I'm doing quilting my layers, my approach is to stick to straight lines. Swirlies and things are not going to happen. You guys are great, but it's not for me. So I rely on my walking foot very, very much. Love it. It's the greatest thing ever. It will help keep your puckers under control. And when you're dealing with all of those layers. So if you don't already have a walking foot,
It's definitely worth it. I've tried on the beginning classes that we've been teaching. I've just said, use your walking foot. You can sew a row down this way, turn it, sew it the other way, and sew it back and forth. But by not looking at the back and just hoping that it all stays nice and flat, nice and flat on both sides. I've turned it over now, and it looks great. Now I've done it without the walking foot, thinking that I'm really, I'm so good.
I got
can
this.
do it. I've got it. I know what I'm doing. And what did I do? I forgot to change the walk to a walking foot, and I did it. And it was this one? I'll show you.
Did it look great?
No, it doesn't look horrible, but it's puckery a little bit. You just got this little bit of a pucker on because this was on the back side. The front looks great no matter what you do, but I got a little bit of that pucker. And I said, okay, now I know it's best to use that walking foot. And this one I used a walking foot, and it looks great on both sides. There's no puckers, there's no anything. This is on the inside, so it isn't that big of a deal. No one's gonna see it, but
Nobody's gonna know.
right. So, but I can definitely see a difference in my own work by looking at which tool I used. So that's why we're just bringing that up. A lot of people, their machines came with one and they've never opened it out of the box, and it's in there and they don't use it. I said, well, this is a project that you'd want to use it for.
Speaking of tools, tell them about why So Annie has a special stiletto that's got some features that you might not find in another stiletto. So Laura's going to tell you a bit more about that.
The thing that she thinks a lot before she designs and makes a tool. The one thing, it's flat, so it won't roll. She has flat parts, so it'll sit. If you put it down by your sewing machine, it's not going to roll under it like a pen or something. Well, so she's designed that. On this side, you have your stiletto, but they've sanded it with a special, so it's not rough, but it's not shiny either. So it helps when you're hanging on to your fabric. So if I'm going around a corner and I'm sewing around this edge, I can use my stiletto and get right in under the presser foot with that stiletto, and then take a few stitches, and then take a clip out, and then move a little bit, and you can get these corners to lay just perfectly flat. And that's how on these, you can go around, like you sew your tape onto the back and then you flip it to the front, but I used a stiletto and I got that to be perfectly flat along the edge. And it was just taking my time and using a stiletto and just getting it right under the needle where I wanted to get it. That's why, and she swears by them. I mean, she says, I wouldn't do any project without it, and I've already lost the top.
And she calls it a a precision pressing tool, something like that. She also always refers to it as a pressing tool because they did put that end on the bottom.
So I a lot of the times use my thumbnail, and if I'm doing like a little short seam and I need to get it pressed, I just finger press it. Well, this tool gives you a nice flat piece, and you can just take it on and put it on either your sewing machine or a table right beside you, and just run along that seam, and you can press it enough that you can actually sew over the top of it. So she just includes one of this in these little tools. And then it comes with a little tape over the top. She suggests if you lose this, one of your seam ripper caps can fit over the top of that too, or you can, put a cork or something on it so you don't have to worry about that tight end.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stilettos out there, but this is
why hers is different.
This why hers is a little different. Okay. Why don't you start on?
So Laura was telling you about wonder clips. And there's a few reasons why you can't use pins in bag making a lot of times. There are plenty of times where you can, but other times it's going to be an issue. With all of these layers of foam, you're not pinning through that with a straight pin. It's not going to happen. You're also going to find that when the vinyls, whether it's the clear or the other vinyls, the opaque ones that, like I showed earlier, you don't want to put a pin through that. If you do, it will leave a permanent hole, and that's not pretty. Yeah. So we don't want to use pins for that. Clips are great. And as you can see, sometimes your project is going to use a lot of clips. Around the corners, you're going to want more. And especially when I'm coming in, this is just me set up to do a quick basting stitch, and then I'll put my bias on there. When I do that, I'm going to use more clips probably. So you can see you might use more than a few. So depending on how many you have at home, you might find yourself wanting a couple extra. It can really add up.
So I found on some of my bags, I thought, I have this big box of 50. I used every one of them. And because sometimes when you're sewing things together and you're sewing one piece, like a large piece around, you want to make sure that piece is going to fit perfectly. You don't want to get, as you're coming around your circle, you don't want to have a gap or it be too tight or too small and try to squeeze. If you do this, you've perfectly spaced out your sewing. So that makes that seam just come together perfectly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even. Yeah.
Yeah, so we sell them in like packages of 10, but we also sell them in 50s. And it's just a tool that I don't think I'd ever be without. That and a rotary cutter are my new things from my new sewing era compared to when I was a teenager and sewing and working at fabric stores. They didn't have those things.
Yep.
And I say, how did I live without a rotary cutter? I love my rotary cutter. I cut everything out with it. So, I mean, those are some changes in sewing that I have noticed. Okay. Oh boy, we're 2 rulers. Do I have my Jonathan up here?
So you'll notice that a lot of the bags have curves in them, incorporated in them. The shape is not square. So you have these nice curves. Now this is in the train case set. This is the smallest size. It is a nesting set. So you get 3 sizes that fit perfectly inside of each other when you're storing them away. But these curves, you don't want to spend your time running around your house trying to find a can or a cup that is the exact dimensions that she tells you need. Then you don't want to have to cut the paper template out that she gives you, especially if you're doing a whole bunch of these corners. Laura, some of you may know, does custom rulers for our store. And when she was working on these, she realized she was doing all these curves and wanted to make some custom rulers. So she's going to tell you about our newest rulers.
So I named my rulers. I started it as a whim, and I name them after my coworkers because I love my coworkers. So now we've gone through most of the ladies. So this is the Jonathan. and I did this because I said, well, he runs circles around us, so he can have it around. But the reason it's so important to have the right size ruler is if you use, this is a 2.5, and you need a 2.5 inch ruler to round these corners. Right? And I call this one, round your corner 2.5, right? And so if you used a 3.5 inch, that adds an extra, it takes away 1.5 inches. So this piece isn't going to fit. A lot of engineering goes into exactly making this fit. So that's why these are important. When I was doing this pattern and I realized, well, gee, I needed a 6.5, I needed a 5.5, and I needed a 3.5. And I'm like, well, I don't have those, right? So I thought, well, what if I did a stacking set and I started with a 6 set? So this has a 6.5, a 5.5, a 3.5, and a 2.5. Those are the most used sizes that are in this line. So we sell them as a set. This is the Jonathan set, and this is just the Jonathan. And that way you can carry them in your pocket. That's what I tell him every time. I got you in my pocket. So he turns red every time I say it. Okay.
So that was a lot of what we covered so far has been really focused on the By Annie's approach and the products. And it's, again, we talked about why we like this as a starter introduction for folks getting into bag making, especially if they're falters. But if it's something that you feel like, okay, but where do I go from there? There's more that I want to do. First of all, hang with us. We're going to be bringing in more classes with patterns from other companies and doing some other things, continuing to bring more bag making into the store because it's super exciting for Laura and I. We also found this great book that we both went through. This book is from the owner of Sally Tomato, and she's got all kinds. It comes with patterns, but also lots of great in-depth instruction. And so it is the Field Guide Making Bags. I guess making bags, a field guide. That sounds better. And it's a very useful tool. We were really excited from our perspective going, this is super good knowledge that I wish I had gotten quicker
Right.
than over the many, many, many years of slowly building these skills.
Right.
So we think this is a great book if anybody is interested in really kind of jumping in and embracing and just going crazy with bag making. So that was kind of most of what we wanted to talk about, aside from taking a look at some of the really cool bags. I kind of want to start with the flipping out because it's really fun and it's super useful. So comes in 2 different sizes and is useful for a lot of what she designs is kind of very like with crafters in mind and sewists, which is great but I also think this is useful in this size for travel, putting your makeup brushes and your liquids and stuff. And now you have a cup holder kind of in your bathroom and in your hotel room and stuff. So I like this size a lot for that perspective. This one over here that Laura has is a really fun size for.
And we've discovered something else.
Oh, yeah.
I discovered this morning.
It's a good, we were like, that looks like it would be a great way to gift somebody a bottle of wine.
So, and you can make it a little picnic. You can put you can put little treats in here. You can put your forks and knives, or and put your bottle in here, and just throw it in. When it flips up, you have a little holder on top. You can put that on your belt, and take it with you up that little
The
hike.
necessities.
The necessities. Yeah. We're just teasing, but we did fit. So we
So
like
now we
that.
know for sure.
Yeah.
And,
But
We-
paintbrushes, like I do a lot of painting, and I have ink pens that I use, like my favorite ink pens. I have big sets, but sometimes I'm using like 5 colors when I'm working on projects. And so I have my paint pens in there, and I put my paintbrushes. And if I keep everything together in a little something like this, then I can always know where they're at. So that's the flipping out.
Yep. Yeah, that one's a really fun one. That's also a really good transition point once you've completed the free projects and you're like, okay, what next is a good one that's not super intimidating and super labor intensive? That's a good one that you can reasonably expect to be able to complete in a day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And okay, so this is starting to step up our skills a little bit, adding some more features. This is a really fun one we like, and anticipate potentially offering a class. We do want to know what classes you might be interested in doing from the Bionese line. We haven't committed necessarily to any of these more intricate patterns for a class offering yet, because we want to hear what folks are interested in. So if there's something that's jumping out at you and you're going, I want to do that with other people because I'm still intimidated, let us know, because we want to know. So this is the Bowl Me Over, good little, if you're somebody who likes to carry more stuff than I like to carry.
Yeah.
And
But you have
again, with
different
your pockets and your organizers, opens up
inside.
nice.
Yeah.
So we like this one. You can see a lot of her techniques you're going to see throughout, which is great because once you start to get those skills, you can really jump into any of her projects.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the grab some grub. This is a little lunch bag, right? And so this just has a little hook on it that they put on the front, and they've used, we have a product that we sell that you can iron on fabric, and it gives you that little waterproofing, and it's just a little square. This would be a great second transition from the free too, because you're just doing square pieces, and then you're learning, and she put like this fabric, you could use pens on it, and this, I don't know if I would do that, but then you can put a name tag in the back if it's for a kid, or if it's an adult, don't touch this, or some little statement.
Don't steal my lunch.
Don't steal my lunch, it's mine. And then it has a little, you can put your fork and knife or napkin in there too. So it just gives you some simple bag, but cool. You can make it for the car. You can make it for the car garden or something.
So we talked about the train case set, which I like it. Like I said, nests completely in there. We've all, I think, gotten really excited about the little cases to put in our suitcases and keep our stuff organized inside them. I know I love them, and I like the idea of these cute ones that nest inside of each other when you're actually not using them. But they're also super useful for any time else that you need to travel with something. You're just like, I just need to be able to carry my little goodies, maybe a little bit of a knitting project. Even these have a little bit of organization into them as well, so you still get different flexibility in with this little set as well.
So she makes several caddies, and we got samples of this is the In Control. It's kind of designed to keep by your TV and put your remote controls and your updating me TV guide in here. So your things that you like to keep by your TV. But I love it because it's a perfect size. I put all my sewing tools for class in here, and I have to bring things in. And I can cram a lot of stuff in here. I like it. I like the size. So I made it up with, of course, Tula pink fabric, and did my sewing machines on it. But they also make a larger size. Now this one is called the Containers. Oh, no, it isn't. That's the wrong tag. This is the Catch-All Caddy 2. Catch-All Caddy. So this is actually this caddy, but it's a couple inches, and I think it's like 2 inches bigger. It looks a lot bigger than 2 inches bigger, but that's actually the measurement. So this is again for tools. You could, or either one of those, you could keep in a spare bathroom and put guest towels in it, and just have it sitting by here. An extra, like if you have some extra toothbrushes, because who always forget my toothbrush, right? You could put a little make it a little guest basket for your guest room.
That's a really cute idea.
Yeah, I know. I have cute ideas sometimes. So. You want to do this one?
We talked a little bit about A Place for Everything. There has been some interest in this class, but fair warning, it's going to be an intensive class. It's going to take a little bit of work, and we're not doing it anytime soon because it's a lot. We have to figure the logistics out on that. So if you are interested in doing a case like this, we love the flexibility of this one because it has those panels and sections that can come out. If you do retreats at all, or you're just a crazy person who likes to be super organized when they travel, then this is a really neat one. I like the customization, the ability to really make it work for you. So if you're interested, do let us know, because we really need to know that people are going to actually do it if we put the effort into planning this one. But we'd love to do that if that's something people are interested in.
And we'd probably do it in a 2-day class. We'd have a day, we'd go through things, and we'd send you home with homework. Then we'd have you come back the next week, and then we do it again.
Move on.
So, and once we do it and make a couple up, we can kind of figure out how long that would take, and we could definitely do a 2-part class. So a lot of these, we will give you homework before you come to class. We'll say, we want you to cut out your pieces, we want you to quilt your fabric and be ready to go in the class. And so just so we can work on the skills that we need to put these things together. And that is something that we will on a lot of classes. So that's why we really encourage the little pettifour basket is, you don't quilt it. It's simple to make. You've made one over there.
It's a great little intro to the foam if you've never used it before.
And this isn't quilted. You just sew around the edges and you just make the shape, and you cut your lining like a 1/2 inch bigger. So you make that faux binding on the top. It's not binding. It's just the lining is a little bit bigger, and then you fold it over and then just stitch down in the ditch. So to finish it up. Okay.
And it's fun. The first time you use that foam, when I did that little basket the first time and I folded on those stitch lines, and I was like, okay, that was really satisfying. So it was just fun to see the way it behaved. Okay, that was fun. This is one that has been a lot of people like as an interest, and I know we've got another one that we'll be looking at later from one of y'all. But this is the Take a Stand bag. This pattern comes in 2 different sizes. And the smaller size is designed to match in size to the Running with Scissors kit. The idea being it makes a great companion.
It's the perfect size to fold over,
retreats.
and the small one, and this folds over the top. This one,
But even this works.
yeah. But she, this is Mo's project here, and I gave mine away to a friend, so I don't have one, but too soon. I didn't know we were going to do this, but. So she just puts this inside it and carries it with her fabric and other projects that when she's going on retreat. But she just likes having this for all the organization and keeping all your tools together. Sometimes when you go to class, if there's a lot of people in there and people start swapping things, your stuff disappears or it spreads out and you're like, oh, where's all my stuff? But if you have that right conveniently by your sewing machine, you keep your stuff together.
And like I said, it does come in 2 different sizes. And like so many of Annie's products, the By Annie's bags and various projects, there's more pockets inside. I love the organization. I love a place to put things. Just love it.
Mm-hmm. The next one I'm going to talk about is the Clam Up. No one wanted to make this, and I don't know why, because it was so fun.
Several.
It is so cute.
Yeah.
You were right.
And they call it the Clam Up because it's the shape of a clam, and it opens up like this. So I can use that, like I could put my Wonder Clips in it. I could keep my, supplies in it. I could keep my, zipper pieces in it, or when I walked by. The pattern comes with 5 sizes from extra small to extra large. And this one, she actually does give you a pattern in it, and there's some you have to tape together. When you fold it out, you might have to cut them out and tape them together to make the whole pattern, because when you do the extra large, it's about like this big,
What size
but
is that?
but this one is a medium,
Is the medium? Okay.
and
Good to know.
you could, but they all fit in each other. They're like little Russian dolls.
Yeah.
And so they all can fit in each other. So some people say, "Oh, I'm going to make someone a set." Well, do they really need everyone? Why don't we get them? Well, you know,
It's a lot.
I'm always practical, but there's different things you can do. I put the tabs on this side, and then the zipper. They call for using a zipper like this. So this is a perfect opportunity to use your zipper by your yard, and you cut each zipper a little bit different. But in one package, you can do all of them, all the zippers by the 4-yard package. You can do all those little ones, and maybe have even some more left over. So it's nice, it's cute, it's fun, and the way we sew the soft and stable, it just holds that shape. And so that's like, if you just did regular fabric, that would just fall over. It would just, oh, that's a cute pouch, but what does it really look like? Because it's all squishy.
But when you open it, it wouldn't stay
Yeah,
this nice open
right.
container.
And then, it's so nice. And then they put the little things on the little tabs on the side, but isn't that cute? Because you open it up like that, it's got that little tab,
Peak.
and that just keeps everything in. So if you unzip it all the way, it just holds whatever you put in there inside. So.
And I'll
are
say with the approach with this, because it does have a pattern shape and it's kind of all these angles and curves and whatnot, it's not difficult. But my approach, because it's a paper piece that you piece together, these paper pieces, and you don't necessarily, again, with the foam, it's like, how am I going to pin this? Just trace around it. And if it's your preference, you can use something that disappears. You can use a Choco liner or a friction pen or something like that, or a heat erase pen of some kind, which you may already have handy for your project when you're going to draw your lines if you're doing quilting in directions, straight lines like I do. So those types of things if you've already got them handy, reach for that. But that way you can just trace around it and then just grab your scissors and you're good to go. You don't have to worry about how am I going to
Attach the pattern.
Yeah. Those of us that have done other patterns and we're used to pinning our pattern to our fabric, how are you going to do that here? You're not. You're just going to trace around.
Yeah, most of her patterns have some drafting involved. So that means you're taking the fabric and you're drawing the pieces on the fabric. She actually is really good with a rotor cutter and a ruler, and she doesn't need to always draw around them. But let me tell you, if you're new to, your ruler can shift, and if it shifts 1/4 of an inch, you might get out. You have that line drawn, and then you put your ruler on there, and then you can see where you're going on the fabric. I've just noticed it works out a lot better for me to do that. So I just draw on the fabric itself and then have people cut them out.
So those are some of our favorite features of the By Annie's line of products and some of the techniques and things that we've learned from them. Are you seeing anything that we have we missed or that we want to go over?
Talked about this one is we have the
one
with a.
It's true. She's got the free pattern that's the Peacekeeper.
And this
then
is the
project bag is similar but different.
So I quilted the inside of it and then just did this. This comes in multiple sizes. It also comes with a quilted base, so you can do a strict quilted base on this. So you can make it really personal. We had our Angie, one of our favorite customers. This is the greatest project if you have orphan quilt blocks, because all of us have gone to a class and made one quilt block, or we have an extra, or we decided it's too hard, that project, and you have an extra quilt block. Well, you can use that for the backing or the front, depending on where, if you want it to show through like that. That's why I had the hard time. I was like, well, what am I going to want? I want this to show, but this is solid. So I put this fabric on, and then did this is a design from the Luminaire. And it was just built in the machine. And so I just quilted this on my soft and stable and I didn't worry about the other quilting. So, and I got to do that and have that fun little design. And so some of our machines do have that ability to do that quilting right in the hoop. So, okay. And we have quite a few of these patterns, but it's just nice. I mean, you look at it, it's a square. Do I really need the pattern? Well, it's nice to get all those pieces exactly the right size. And you get the choice of doing it in different sizes. This says they have the from small to large. I didn't put a handle on it because, I did. Shoot, I did. Sorry. I was saying, well, I like sometimes my project bags, I don't carry them by handle. I just want them stacked up, and I put all the pieces for one. Let's say I'm going to make 4 in controls like Mo is going to make. She's crazy. She has 9 brothers and sisters. She's going to make a lot of these Christmas presents this year. And so she's gonna cut out a lot of pieces. So it's nice to cut out the pieces that you're gonna do
Keep 'em
and keep them all together, because otherwise she's gonna look, what did I do? And she looks at all those pieces, but
And once you get the hang of some of these projects, you really find that you can customize your dimensions really well. For example, again, the gal who this morning, Angie, who had her orphan quilt block that she used for hers, she was able to adjust the measurements very simply to make it work for the size of that quilt block, which it wasn't naturally one of the dimensions that the pattern calls for. So once you get into the hang of some of those things, the ability to make those adjustments, I find myself wanting to do that with this in the mix cover, which is great. If you've got a KitchenAid on your counter and you want to cover it up, this is specifically designed to those dimensions to work really well for that. But I'm looking at it going, I feel like I could adjust those measurements pretty easily to be a really cute little sewing machine cover. And I like this style. She also does offer a different style sewing machine cover, but I like this one for the idea of keeping my extra sewing machine clean and tidy in my craft room when I'm not using it. So the ability to adjust things when you get the hang of stuff is, again, we love the customization of being able to do your own bag making. And so hopefully you guys are feeling a little inspired, and we gave you some fun ideas, and that's kind of what we were hoping to do today. So we hope we accomplished that for you pretty well.
Should we do the, does anybody have any
Prizes.
show and tell?
did we hand out,
I was like, we did.
tickets?
So
Did we hand out tickets?
why don't we do show and tell first?
Yeah, because I know
Okay.
we have a By Annie show and tell project that came in today.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Stay on top.
what we would ask is that you would get up next to Laura when you show your show and tell.
And let us know who you are so that the whole internet can know you as well, because you're about to be famous.
Okay, I'm Linda. So this is the Take a Stand Large. I got this bag pattern many moons ago in a sew fun class.
Oh, cool.
And it's sat in my sewing room for a long, long time. I didn't know what, I wanted to make it, but I didn't know what. And the pandemic hit,
Oh, yeah.
and you're stuck at home. I have to do something. All this fabric was in my stash at home, had the pattern. And I was gonna make a bag years ago with another group, had the handles already, so I had it all. So I made this bag. I customized the inside, the mesh pockets to fit things that I take. This is a jewelry valet that I made many years ago. It's a little zipper bag that I use for all kinds of stuff when I travel. I wanted handles, but I also wanted the shoulder strap. And I decided, when you've got a heavy bag, having this padded thing is nice. It's not part of the pattern. Annie has on her website
For free.
a free pattern for this.
Perfect.
So it works great. I use this as my carry-on the airplane. Fits under the seat. I flew down to California last year, and I took 3 teapots to give to my sister as a gift. They fit. That's why I know it's a good measure. The other thing I discovered, some of her other travel bags have a sleeve to slide onto your suitcase handle. Well, this doesn't. But if you take this and you wrap it around the post and then around your bag and clip it back on,
It stays nice, yeah.
it works. So
Great
it's a
idea.
really great bag.
It's beautiful.
It's huge. So people
Yeah.
ask me where I got the fabric. My mother-in-law got it at a garage sale a long time ago.
So it's one of a
I
kind.
think it's
Yeah.
timeless treasures. All I have is a little bit of a salvage that says treasures.
It's beautiful, thank you. Anybody else bring any show and tell today? Okay.
Okay, well, we're gonna say goodbye to our virtual people, and thank you to Laura and Alexis.
Thank you for having us.
There's Laura waving goodbye, and there's Alexis waving goodbye. Okay, see you on the 12th, everybody, of October.
Oh, we're getting the prizes.
Right.